Today we're going to talk about how to write your speech closing, how to end your speech. I've coached clients and this is what they do to end their speech. Let's go into Q&A. No, don't go into Q&A as the very last thing that you speak about. Why? Because if someone asks a weird question or throws you off, there is a concept called primacy and recency. The audience will remember the first thing you say and they will remember the last thing you say or that they hear. If the last thing they hear is you kind of stumbling on a question that was thrown to you out of nowhere that you weren't ready for or wasn't even on the topic of your speech, that's how you'll be remembered. You want to be in control of the end of your speech. So here are 4 ways that you can do that. I call it the 4 Ps to a powerful speech close. The first thing you can do is what I call the pull. Pull them into a world where either what you say isn't followed or is followed. So let's give an example of both. You pull them into the negative. Imagine a world where you get up and you don't set goals like we've talked about today. You don't pursue your dreams. You just sit at home, you walk through the door, and you don't do anything with your life. How are you going to feel? What does your life look like? How do other people look at you? What do you want them to say about you after you're gone? What will they say if you've had no goals and nothing you've pursued? Now that may be a bit negative. I don't like to use that, but it is effective. I've heard some speakers use it. They pull you into a negative world where you are not following what they've said today. Let's flip it. Let's try the other way. Imagine a world where you get up in the morning and you know what you want to accomplish. You wake up and you're pursuing your dreams. You're following your dream. You're following your vision. Imagine the energy that you will feel. Every day means something. There's no thank God it's Friday anymore. It's thank God it's Monday. You wake up at the beginning of the week with a fresh sense of energy. Different feeling, right? I've pulled you into the world of following what we've talked about today. I've gotten you imagining yourself actually doing the things that we've talked about. And at the end of the day, as a speaker, isn't that what you want? You want your audience to actually take action on what you say. So let's show them a world. It's called future pacing. Show them a world where they've done it and they're a success. So the first way is pull. The second thing you can do is a poem, a song, or a mantra. I know some people, they do a mantra, a certain set of lines they say right at the end that's just motivating to their audience. Les Brown has something he says at the end of his speeches. It's a long quote he says. There's other speakers that do that as well. Some end with a poem. They have a poem they've written or a poem they've heard. Sometimes I'll end with some of my favorite song lyrics from an artist that is here in Toronto, Leslie Akara. Sometimes I'll use her lyrics. Some lyrics in her song that go along with the theme of my speech. Something that's like a signature close for you. Can you write something or show something or do something that belongs to you? Your poem or someone else's poem that you're reading, or a piece of literature or a famous quote that you end with. Something that gets them motivated on a high and thinking about what you just spoke about. Ask yourself, can I use a poem, song, or mantra? The next thing you can do is a posing of a question. So you can ask a question to your audience. You can have your last words be a question. And it's a reflective question. It's a question that gets them to think of the positive. It's a question that gets them to think about what you've just talked about. If you've talked about following your dreams, your last question might be something like, are you ready today to follow and pursue the life you always dreamed of? Thank you. Right? You might walk off that way and just leave them with a question. Leave them with something in the air. Try to make it positive. That one should be positive. Whereas the pull can be either negative or positive. You want this to be positive because then you end with a positive feeling in your audience. Can you pose a question that gets them thinking, feeling great about you and your message? And finally, a word that is in the Bible is called parable. It's just another word for story. Can you end your speech with a story? This is one of my favorite things to do. I'll leave you with this, and I have a story that's inspiring, that's uplifting, that leaves them on a high as they leave your presence. So imagine that. You tell a story that leaves them motivated, and then they leave. Isn't that better than ending on a Q&A where someone can ask a question that throws you off, or just saying, hey, that's it, I'm done? You leave them with a story. Remember that. Remember these 4 Ps. Pull, poem, pose, and parable. Those are your 4 Ps to closing your speech with impact, with power, and most importantly, so that you will be